Aloha, I'm Robert Fan and I would like to welcome you to this overview of water quality standards in our state. Since ancient times, Native Hawaiians understood the vital connection between the Mauka and Makai environments of their island homes. Their traditions and practices ensured the natural flow of vai, meaning fresh water in Hawaiian, from land to ocean, and the sustainable health of both inland regions and coastal zones. Today, vai is still the vital lifeblood of our island homes. As Pacific Islanders, we understand that the quality of water directly impacts our individual health, our state economy, and our native ecosystem. Mountain streams, sandy beaches, and coral reefs are all part of our natural resources, and they are necessary for our drinking needs, our recreational activities, our tourism industry, our local agriculture and aquaculture, and our diverse ecosystem. To protect our health and our islands, we need water quality standards. Let's start with the definition of water quality standards, or WQS. Water quality standards are risk-based regulations for the protection of public health, aquatic life, and environmental quality through the prevention, control, and abatement of water pollution. As defined, water quality standards are risk-based regulations. This means that water quality standards are not established for the protection of human health and aquatic life 100% of the time. An acceptable level of risk to human health as a result of exposure to toxic pollutants is allowed. For water quality standards, the acceptable level of risk is based on the increased risk of developing cancer during a person's lifetime. Specifically, the 1 in a million increased cancer risk is used. This means that one person out of every 1 million may develop cancer during his or her lifetime when exposed to the levels of toxic pollutants specified in the water quality standards. In this overview, the 6 W's method is used to describe 6 key concepts related to water quality standards. These key concepts include the justification, development, framework, specification, implementation, and revision of water quality standards in our state. Why are water quality standards needed? Water quality standards are the benchmarks that we need to determine if a stream on embayment is protected. When a stream on embayment meets the applicable water quality standards, then the existing and beneficial activities are protected. We need water quality standards to determine the impacts of urban development and the resulting water pollution. We also need water quality standards to determine whether the restoration plan for an impaired water body and the proposed remediation measures are appropriate. Overall, water quality standards are needed for multiple purposes, including the establishment of water quality goals for both the protection and restoration of water bodies, the attainment of water quality that is both swimmable and fishable, and the regulation of polluted discharges into state waters. Who are the developers of water quality standards? Since 1972, the U.S. federal government has been the driving force in regulating water pollution and in recommending water quality standards through the enactment of the Federal Water Pollution Control Act amendments. The amended Federal Water Pollution Control Act of 1972 was significantly reorganized and expanded in 1977. This amended law is commonly called the Clean Water Act. The provisions of the Clean Water Act are specified at Title 33, Chapter 26 of the United States Code, or 33 U.S.C. Sections 1251 through 1387. The requirements for the establishment of water quality standards by a state are specified in Section 303 of the Clean Water Act. The Clean Water Act is administered by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA. In our state, the equivalent law is the Water Pollution Act. The provisions for the regulation of water pollution in our state are specified in Chapter 342D of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, or HRS 342D. The requirement for the establishment of water quality standards in our state is specified in Section 5 of HRS 342D. The provisions of HRS 342D are administered by the State Department of Health, or HDOT. What are the core components of water quality standards? There are three core components of water quality standards. The first component identifies the beneficial uses that are designated for a specific water body. Beneficial uses may be existing, and they include activities such as swimming and fishing. The second component identifies specific benchmarks or water quality goals that are necessary to support the designated uses of a water body. These benchmarks may either be narrative or numeric requirements. There are narrative requirements for our state waters to be free of oil, grease, and other substances that may be harmful to human health and aquatic life. There are also numeric requirements that specify limits in the concentrations of both conventional and toxic pollutants. As required in Section 208 of the Clean Water Act, an island-wide waste treatment management plan, commonly known as the 208 Plan, was incrementally developed from 1978 to 1980 in order to address the impacts on water quality due to discharges from urban and industrial activities in our state. As a result of the 208 planning process, numeric water quality criteria for conventional pollutants, including nutrients, were developed and adopted. Besides the adoption of statewide numeric water quality criteria for conventional pollutants, site-specific numeric water quality criteria were developed and adopted in 2000 for the Kona Coast, which is located on the west side of the Big Island. All numeric water quality criteria that were adopted for the regulation of toxic pollutants in our state were developed and recommended by the EPA. The third and last component identifies the anti-degradation requirements that are necessary for the protection of existing uses. Swimming and fishing are examples of existing uses. Where are water quality standards specified? At the federal level, the implementation regulations for water quality standards are specified at Title 40, Part 131 of the Code of Federal Regulations, or 40 CFR Part 131. These federal regulations include the requirements and procedures for a state to develop, adopt, and review water quality standards, to seek input from the public, and to obtain approval from the EPA. At the state level, the implementation regulations for water quality standards are specified at Title 11, Chapter 54 of the Hawaii Administrative Rules, or HAR 1154. State regulations for water quality standards must be as stringent as federal regulations. State regulations may be more stringent than federal regulations. Our state has a water body classification system whereby all similar types of water bodies are assigned specific designated uses, and they are protected by uniform water quality criteria. All water bodies in our state are classified as either inland waters or marine waters. Inland waters may be fresh, brackish, or saline, and they include streams, lakes, wetlands, and estuaries. Marine waters include embayments, open coastal waters, and oceanic waters. Please note that the structure of HAR 1154, as shown on this slide, is taken from the latest version of the regulations for water quality standards. This latest version includes new and revised numeric water quality criteria for the protection of human health. It also includes site-specific flexibility such as use attainability analysis and water quality standards variances. This latest version is streamlined by removing the requirements for water quality certifications, zones of mixing, and intake credits. These requirements are moved to new and existing chapters of the Hawaii Administrative Rules. Governor Ige signed the latest version of HAR 1154 on October 22nd of this year. The signed version has been submitted to the EPA for approval. All adopted amendments to HAR 1154 must be approved by the EPA before they can be used for the purposes of regulating water pollution in our state. How are water quality standards used to assess the quality of state waters? HDOH has developed and implemented a comprehensive monitoring strategy for both inland and coastal waters statewide. The goal of this comprehensive monitoring strategy is to determine the overall quality of state waters and to identify the sources of pollution statewide. Both probabilistic and targeted methods are used to monitor state waters. HDOH knows that water quality monitoring activities in our state need to be well planned and conducted in partnership with state, local, federal, and non-governmental entities. HDOH monitors state waters in accordance with the Quality Assurance Project Plan that HDOH developed per the requirements and guidance of the EPA. The monitoring process includes various methods, including the field measurements of parameters such as temperature and turbidity, and the collection of water samples for laboratory analysis to detect the presence of pollutants and fecal indicator bacteria. For nearshore coastal waters, HDOH environmental health specialists are regularly monitoring the quality of these waters on all major islands. For offshore coastal waters, HDOH has contracts with the University of Hawaii for the use of buoys that are configured with automatic sensors to monitor the quality of these waters. The monitoring results of state waters can be viewed online at the HDOH Water Quality Data website. HDOH assesses the quality of inland and coastal water statewide by using the available monitoring data. Monitoring data that are generated by HDOH and those that are solicited by HDOH from external sources are used for this assessment. For a specific water body, the monitoring data is compared to applicable water quality standards. If the applicable water quality standards are exceeded, then this water body is considered to be impaired. The assessment results of water quality can be viewed online at the EPA How's My Waterway website. HDOH integrates all the assessment results of water quality and reports them in a document commonly called the Integrated Report. HDOH publishes the Integrated Report on a 2-year cycle to inform the public about the overall status of water quality statewide. The Integrated Report also includes a list of waters that do not meet applicable water quality standards and a ranking of impaired waters that are considered in the planning of restoration activities. HDOH has published the 2020 Integrated Report. This Integrated Report covers assessment results for the period of November 1, 2017 to October 31, 2019. HDOH is currently preparing the 2022 Integrated Report. When are water quality standards updated? As required by federal regulations, HDOH reviews the water quality standards specified in HAR 1154 at least once every 3 years. The triennial review is performed to ensure that existing water quality standards are up to date scientifically, to evaluate recent recommendations and applicable requirements from the EPA, and if necessary, to adopt new water quality standards. The triennial review of existing water quality standards is subject to the public participation process. First, HDOH establishes a 45-day public comment period to present a preliminary list of proposed amendments to existing water quality standards and to solicit input from the public and stakeholders. Next, HDOH provides access to all relevant material and supporting information related to the proposed amendments. Last, HDOH holds a public hearing at the end of the public comment period to collect oral and written testimonies. After a triennial review, HDOH publishes a response to the testimonies submitted during the public comment period. HDOH includes in this response the final list of proposed amendments to existing water quality standards. HDOH may include applicable proposals from the public in this final list depending on the schedule of plan updates and the availability of resources. All proposed updates to existing water quality standards are subject to the public participation process, and they must be approved by the EPA. Overall, triennial reviews are part of the continuing process whereby existing water quality standards in our states are specified, implemented, reviewed, and updated if necessary. The next triennial review is scheduled for March of next year. The key takeaways from this overview of water quality standards in our state are as follows. There are risk-based regulations. They may be numeric or narrative requirements. They must be as stringent as federal regulations. They are specified in HAR 1154. They are reviewed every 3 years, and if they are updated, they are subject to the public participation process. Water quality standards are used to assess the quality of state waters. The assessment results are the basis for the protection and restoration of inland and coastal waters and for the regulation of polluted discharges into state waters. To better protect our health and our islands, we need to continually specify, implement, review, and if necessary, update water quality standards. Mahalo for taking the time to watch this overview of water quality standards in our state. If you have any specific questions or need any additional information, please contact me at the monitoring section of the Clean Water Branch either by email or by phone.